everybody. Welcome to Change Geek. Today we have the honor of interviewing Sadaf Haq. She is the first Muslim to run for city council for the city of Frisco. She and her husband have an established medical practice. She also created the city's first diversity and inclusion committee, and she serves on the Frisco Education Foundation Advisory Board, and she's also on the board of Texas Health Resources. I mean, these are just to name a few things that you're on, Sadaf. We wouldn't even have enough time to all the accomplishments I know that you have and I've read about. Before we get into it, can you cut to the chase and just give our Change Geek audience one piece of advice on how to be successful in your personal life or your business or your career?
Okay. So, Constance, there will be opportunities that come and go in your life, but no opportunity will wait for you. So you have to jump at those opportunities and take them on, because otherwise you will have regrets. So
is that why you're doing your campaign? Is that why you're running against all odds? I mean, you're a minority Muslim and a woman running for a city council position in an extremely conservative suburbia. Is that why you're doing this? Surely this ties to your campaign.
Absolutely it does. Absolutely
Okay.
it does. I identified that there was an opportunity and I jumped on it.
And so what are you wanting to do in your campaign? Like, what is this campaign about for you and for the people of the city?
This campaign is about, and my candidacy is about, highlighting the basic principles that I feel have helped me throughout my life. They're basic principles that I teach my own children, and I like to stay true to my conviction. And I talk about honesty, I talk about integrity, I talk about service, and those are literally the foundations of my campaign. And I hope people can see that in the work that I've done, and believe that I will continue with that in the future if elected.
And you talked a little bit about building bridges in a prior discussion I had with you. Do you feel that there's a need to build some of the bridges that are happening within our municipality, within our government?
Absolutely. Constance, we're living in a global city. They are not a monolith population that's moving. And so how, as a local government, can you be representative of the whole population? You have to have some different frames of thinking that's being represented at city council. Otherwise, how can you understand the needs of the population? And so I feel that I can be that bridge, per se, and help build those connections between government and the population, the residents of Frisco. How do we get progress in motion if we continue to have the same thinking in the room? And so I feel like I can be that voice on city council that will continue to be the eyes and ears and have the pulse of the growing population. How can we evolve in a city? How can we continue to progress as a city, right? It's important as a candidate, as an elected official, to continue to educate yourselves on the issues, educate yourselves on what the moving parts are in order to be an effective, right, to have an effective solution. And I've always found that I don't make decisions in haste. I always try to make sure that I have all the knowledge base and the education to take place.
But I also hear you saying you're asking every citizen for a call to action. I hear you saying, let's all get educated. Let's all get involved. We all are bridge builders that we need to connect and make our local communities better. Is that the call of action I'm hearing from you as well?
110%. Yes, absolutely.
Can you tell us, what are some of the challenges that you faced as a woman business owner, a woman politician? What are some of the challenges and how did you deal with them?
It's interesting you asked me that, because I'd like to think that my challenges are not because I'm a woman. But yes, I'm a woman, I'm a minority. There are, different stigmas attached. People like to put me in a box, and I try to shift that box constantly. People's preconceived notions, right? Until I open my mouth, until I'm not one to stay quiet in a boardroom. I'm not one to stay quiet. And I do it very respectfully. I'm not one to just blurt out things for the sake of listening to me, listening to myself talk. And so I think what that has allowed me to do is build those relationships that are important for the motion. I mean, I think every video that you see coming out of City Hall talks about progress in motion. And so I think it's very crucial to be calm, collective. And I think, you know, probably within 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes after someone meeting me, they'll understand that, you know, okay, I'm going to hold my ground. So you cannot walk all over me by any means, just because of perhaps my gender or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, I make sure my point is known. So yeah, there are challenges, of course, you know, being a woman, but we're going to continue to break that glass.
You mentioned kind of off camera, you know, that politics is a roller coaster ride, and sometimes it sucks. And, you know, I mean, there's no other way to describe it,
No,
right?
there's not.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, is that about some sacrifices that you've had to make to be able to, you know, stomach some of the punches in there, you know? Is there some involved?
Yeah, of course. I mean, listen, you're stepping out into a battlefield, essentially. That's really what it is, right? And your gloves are off. And so you're left very vulnerable. And I think it's a matter of how you endure those punches, because how are you going to protect yourself? How are you going to defend yourself? And it's a learning process.
Those sacrifices, I think, that you're making, I think they're for a greater purpose. And I hear that as another calling to the Change Geek audience, right? And to the people that you work with and in our communities across the United States. We have to make sacrifices right now for that greater purpose. And then tying back to your first call to action is get educated on what's going on, get involved, right, in your local community. Wow. Sadaf, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for making a difference in our community that you already have. I'm looking forward to you being a successful candidate for City Council and all the differences and changes that you are going to make for not only our suburbia, but for the greater good of all the United States. Thank you so much for the role model that you represent for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Constance. I really enjoyed it.